What is it that you strive for in your blog? What's the purpose of it? What's the main thrust of it?
Well, the original purpose was it just made me really happy, and it kind of took me away from the things that were bothering me at work. And so I would come home in the evening and I would cook a meal that I really enjoyed, and I would cook for friends or I'd cook for myself. And I would really enjoy that. I find cooking extremely therapeutic. And then I would write about it, and I would really enjoy writing about it. And taking photographs very badly at first. And that was the main purpose, because really I was just writing for myself for a little while, because I didn't tell anybody. I was completely anonymous. I was a little bit shy about it. But then people started to read it, and I started to get feedback from readers, which was amazing. And people started to cook my recipes and then come back for more. And I think I've always shared my recipes with friends. I've always emailed them in a somewhat didactic, sometimes forceful way, telling them they should definitely eat this. And I just started doing that online instead, and people started to like it. And then there was a really wet Wimbledon the first year of my blog, and I had blogged about this soup with chili and pumpkin, and just something to liven the day, because the day was really rubbish. And The Guardian found that, and they really liked it, and that brought in more readers, and things just started to snowball from there, really.
And I know that you don't just write recipes there. No. It's not just things for people. You also feel quite strongly about people's approach to food.
Yeah.
And why people don't cook at home, and you wish that they did cook at home more. Yeah,
I think there's a few reasons. I think, first of all, we all now seem to think that we can't cook at home unless we're a qualified chef, which is ridiculous. Secondly, kids aren't learning to cook. And my mother doesn't cook. She really doesn't cook. She's just bought her first cookbook, and that's because I wrote it. You know, and she says she might cook from it. So I actually learned in school, and we were forced. And I didn't really enjoy it at the time, because we were making very savory things. But they're life skills that we were taught. We were taught twice a week for 3 hours, practical. At the age of 12, I could make a homemade custard and a bechamel sauce and all of this stuff. And I think it's really, really important. You know, we teach kids to write, we teach them to read, we should be teaching them to cook. It's a life skill. It would, you know, people wouldn't be as ill because they'd be eating better. I think we also need to teach kids in school about the difference in eating quality food, and not from a luxury standpoint, but the difference between eating terrible bread and eating bread that's made properly, and what that does for your health. I think that's really important, and I don't think people know that. And there's adults who don't understand why they're ill, and they're ill because they're eating rubbish. And you know, and I have my moments. I have an extreme fondness for crisps, which is very destructive, and I have to try and manage that. But at the same time, I do try to be healthy overall. Yeah.
Where would you recommend that people go to get quality produce?
Well, I think locally, if possible. I think the supermarkets have their place, but overall I find them quite destructive. They're a black hole for money in communities. The money goes to the Cayman Islands or somewhere like that, and I think it would be better if people could buy locally. And I know there's issues such as time. People feel they can't hop from shop to shop, but I think we need to prioritise what's good for our bodies and what's good for our community, and try and make our areas stronger like that. And I think it's starting to happen in very middle-class areas, but there's a lot of areas where it's not happening at all, and all the Tesco Extras and all that, or not Tesco Extra, Tesco Metro, which is a small one, are opening up and closing little shops down, and I think it's terribly sad. And I think it would be better if we could. But then I do also appreciate that some local shops are just terrible, and you can't buy in them because the tomatoes are mouldy or whatever. So they also need to beef their game too, you know. So.
How does the way English people eat compared to the Irish?
It's very similar, really. I mean, we probably eat a lot more cabbage. We definitely eat a lot more bacon. And as a child, I hated it with such a passion. My mother used to cook bacon and cabbage for 3 hours, and the cabbage was kind of a browny green and sulphurous and really disgusting, and I would sit at the table for 3 hours rather than eat it. But I think we have a culture of roasts, and I think the interesting thing about England and Ireland right now is we're both really gaining confidence in our cuisine, and we're developing a new cuisine. And I think we've traditionally been strong nations of producers, and we've got great cheese, and we've got lots of great things, great milk, great beef. But now we're learning how to cook it, and we're developing a fine dining cuisine, which I think is really exciting. And I think people are really starting to find their feet in that way, and I think we need to support them. I think a new English and Irish cuisine is being developed right now. We've always had a French cuisine and Italian cuisine, but I think we're going to have a new English cuisine, a new Irish cuisine that has its own identity within the next 10, 15 years, and I think that's very exciting.
I suppose, lastly then, it hasn't just been the blog. You started with the blog, and then you went to Covent Garden Market, set up a stall, people loved it, and now food is your whole life.
Yeah, it was about a year now.
Do you think about anything else?
I do, increasingly. And when your hobby becomes your whole life, you start to pull back a bit from it because it just becomes a bit insane. But yeah, I mean, the market was a great experience. It was extremely intense, 17-hour days. I did all the cooking, all the serving myself. And I think I probably burned out a little bit towards the end and was happy to step away from it and start indulging again. And I started a posh lunch club where I went twice a week to a really nice restaurant and tried the set menus. And I always try to have a bit of fun. If I'm not enjoying it anymore, then I'll stop it. Being my own boss means I can do that. So yeah, I've just finished, my book has come out and I'm hoping to start another one quite soon. And I love that, you know, it's something I really enjoy doing, and I feel very fortunate to be able to do that now, so yeah.
Well,
right, well thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.